It's often said that if walls could talk, oh, the stories they could tell. This wall is filled with the sounds of Cavalier legends. The sounds of great leaders and great teammates.
Well, I'll tell you this, Raj, nothing's impossible. Just like I say, you can, on any given night, you can win a ball game in this league.
To Williams down to the right corner to Elo. On the right wing, Price for three. Got it!
This wall holds the sounds of all-stars and Hall of Famers.
Price stops, lob under the net, lays it up and in. And speeding Darling.
Cavaliers who were pioneers and innovators.
Cleveland draft, Austin Carr.
The Cavs are on a roll.
Wilkens for three. Got it! Sabonis has buried it from the suburbs!
And the voices of difference makers and barrier breakers.
The barriers that he broke were unprecedented, and they're so meaningful to myself and to so many people.
This wall holds the sounds of the history of our Cleveland Cavaliers. And now it's time to add 4 more legends to this hallowed wall. World Be Free.
He was so quick and adept with his ball hand that in today's game, he would be the prototype player.
Gordon Gunn.
He took a franchise that had been struggling and brought pride and dignity and class back to the Cavaliers organization.
Campy Russell.
He was just more about winning and more about the team than any player I had ever been around before.
And Lenny Wilkens.
I know for me personally, being a point guard, getting a chance to play under a man like Lenny Wilkens was a blessing for me in my career to learn under a great coach and player that he was.
This is the Cavaliers Wall of Honor.
Television play-by-play duties for the Cavaliers, and it is my pleasure and privilege to be the host at the 2022 Wall of Honor induction ceremony right here in the Cleveland Clips entrance of Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. This event is always special to me for a number of reasons. Not only to see so many familiar faces, but to see those familiar faces interact. To see everybody enjoy each other's company is in a way what defines this Cavalier family. I don't have to tell many of you, if any of you, but we really have something special, something extraordinary, something authentic here right among us, and that's what makes these moments and these events so special to me. We want to welcome everyone who's here with us this afternoon, Cavalier legends, Wall of Honor members, leaders from our Cavs basketball and business groups, along with so many friends of the organization, but especially our class of 2022 honorees. Today, we have the pleasure of inducting 4 special members of the Cavalier family onto the Wall of Honor. And we start with World Be Free. Gordon Gunn. Campy Russell. And Lenny Wilkens. Now, the Cavs Wall of Honor recognizes and creates a lasting tribute to the very special members of our Cavaliers family over the decades. It was launched during the 1920 season in conjunction with the 50th season celebration. Now, the Wall of Honor ceremony was paused because of the pandemic. With that pause now fortunately behind us, we're here to celebrate it once again with this class of 2022. And hey, what better time to celebrate it, right? Than when we feel like there's a renaissance right now with this Cavalier team out there on the floor. You think about the players, you think about the coaches, you think about the front office, and you think about a team that Vegas picked to win 27 games this season. They go to battle tonight with a record of 41-32, with 9 games remaining and right in the thick of things in the Eastern Conference playoff race. And now, let's begin the induction of our class of 2022. Starting us off as a player who re-energized not only this Cavalier franchise, but an entire fan base here in Northeast Ohio. His energy and passion for the game was like no other. His name is World Be Free.
Well, looking back on it, when that helicopter brought him from Burke Lakefront Airport to Richfield and landed in a pasture there, I guess, with a red carpet rolling out. Nobody could hear it at the time, but in effect, the angels on high were singing because he was the salvation of Cleveland as an NBA market.
Guard 6'3" from Guilford, number 21, World Be Free.
He came in and he did what he was advertised to do.
He was so quick and adept with his ball handling that in today's game, I mean, he would be the prototype player.
Couldn't really block the shot because of his form, the way he shot the ball behind his head. His ability to score was the most impressive thing on the court.
This honor, this Wall of Honor is tremendously deserved.
Please join me in welcoming former Cavs chairman Gordon Gunn to the podium to speak about World and induct him to the Wall of Honor.
Right here. Good evening, everybody. Well, that was just wonderful and said it all. I don't need to really say anything more, World. That said it all. I'm very honored to be able to recognize you tonight. And before I do, though, let me just take a quick moment to thank Dan Gilbert and his family, and thank Len Komorowski, Tad, Tracy Merrick, and others for this great idea. I commend you on having this Wall of Honor. It's a terrific way to recognize the multifaceted history of this wonderful franchise. So thank you very much for that. Now let me go back to May of 1983. The team, aside from having World on it, was in shambles. I mean, the franchise was at a very low point. And as many of you know, there were no first round picks going out 83, 84, 85, and 86 because they'd all been traded away and nothing to show for it, sadly. So we knew we had a huge job ahead of us. And of course, luckily with our ownership group, my brother George, my late brother George, my late wife, Luli, and then you heard Tad mention Dick Watson, who was just a terrific member of our ownership group, as was John Graham. So we had some fabulous people to start with, and I'll get into more of that at another time. But the main thing is to say that we started with negotiating for those picks. With David Stern, who was then deputy commissioner, and he understood that we didn't have a shot if we didn't have that longer term hope to present to our fans. But we needed to do more, and we needed to do more right away. And that happened to be young Mr. World Be Free, who was on the team, had joined the team in December of 1982. And so when we took it over, he was there, but he was a free agent. And we knew if we wanted to move quickly and keep the excitement that he was beginning to bring to the franchise, we had to sign him to a multi-year contract. And very fortunately, we were able to do that. And it's really the one thing that amuses me, and I think it was in the video. He started out the 1983-84 season by coming to training camp on a helicopter. We made it possible. He did it, and he was departed right onto a red carpet, and came in, and he brought such a positive attitude, and he was sure we could turn it around. The thing that sticks out to me about that time was the fans, because they were back, and they were loving it. It was special. And I think what also came through loud and clear is that World, your positive attitude really captured the fans, and your understanding was said in that video too. You understood the importance of the fan base and of the community and of the team, and the relationship that's so important that this franchise has so often spoken for. And you had that sense all the way through. Your skills, your heart, the passion you played the game with, and your flair, my man. You had a flair, no doubt about it. But it was terrific, something we all loved. And thank you, World. We can't. The franchise owes you a huge debt of gratitude, and you were a very special player, special person, and I'm so glad that you're joining this wall of honor. And I gotta just say, you delivered when you delivered. You really did the job. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Great job. Please now let's welcome World Be Free to the podium.
Oh man, I didn't think I was gonna cry. Oh my goodness. Oh. You know, I had a lot of things to say before I was sitting there, and before I came up here, and sometimes you can go like, everything goes right out the window on you. But first, I would like to just thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for giving me the ability to play basketball and have people watch me and enjoy themselves watching what you do, something that you loved. I mean, this is a game that, dribbling the basketball, take you around the world, get to meet exciting people, like you people, everyone. And coming from Brooklyn, Lenny, you know about this. It's like everyone has their own stops, but when you put it all together, you know, in a whole shell, it's just amazing how people just respect and love what you did. And Mr. Phil Hubbard, Phil, could you? Oh my goodness, my brother. Phil jumped this high off the ground, but he got 20 rebounds. And it was just, you know, amazing time that we had together. And, you know, being there and bringing this city back, it was all of us that did it, you know, because I did realize that, like I said, they was calling this city, when I was traded from the Golden State Warriors with players like Bernard King, Joe Barry Carroll, Purvis Short, all these guys were on. We had a good team there. And they said that you're going to Cleveland. And when somebody said you're going to Cleveland at that time, it was like, uh-oh, you know, it's over. But I said to myself, no, this is going to be the start of a beginning. And it was a war. It was a war. You know, going through it, people laughing at you, nobody coming to the game. We had about like 1,500 people at the game when I first got here, and you can bounce the ball in that echo, just like it's echoing over this room. But I said, and I told the reporter, I said, look, not being cocky or anything, they said, you won 20 games, 13 games last year. I said, well, I'm here now, I think we'll win 15. So, you know, I knew we were going to get a little bit better. So it wasn't going to stay at the 13. But I just, like I said before, I thank God for everything that he's done. I appreciate you, Gordon. Appreciate you. You know, 'cause you brought me here, you gave me an opportunity, and this city is so beloved, and I love this city, and I know that they love me here, definitely. And what can I say? This is the man right here, Mr. Embry. How are you? Doing good. Doing good. I read up on you, and I read a whole lot, and I keep telling him, I said, wow, the respect that I got for you is totally different from what I thought everything was. You know, I'm bigger than what I used to be. As being a man standing up talking to another man. I love you. I appreciate you. My family, I want to say, my family's here. All of them, they got the cameras out. My wife, my daughters, my sons. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you. You've been with me through a whole lot, you know, and I'll never ever forget it. This is a special moment to be with these great, great people up here. And I want to just thank you. And if one thing before I leave, though, if you noticed on the video, I did pass the ball. Thank you very much for your time.
Now, World and Gordon will uncover the World Be Free Wall of Honor tile. Next up is someone from whom we just heard, Gordon Gunn, the man, along with his brother George Gunn, who literally saved the Cavalier franchise in 1983. Please enjoy this video that speaks to the tremendous impact that Gordon had on our franchise and on our community.
Gordon Gunn saved this team. You know, because of Mr. Gunn, the team is still here. The team is in downtown Cleveland now because of Mr. Gunn, and he did things the right way.
Number one, he was a great owner. Number two, he's a great friend.
Every conversation I had to him, I was just, you know, really amazed at what he was able to accomplish with having a disability like that.
You know, he was just an inspiration. He was very much a part of the growth of Cleveland and the rebirth of Cleveland in the 80s. And he supported many charitable organizations. And, you know, I think we all should be forever grateful.
They put this organization right back on the tracks and brought pride and dignity and class back to the Cavaliers organization. So, you know, that alone it says it all. Very, very deserving to be on the wall.
To induct Gordon Gunn into the Wall of Honor, please welcome a Cavalier legend and Wall of Honor member whose number 11 jersey is retired and now hangs in the rafters here at the field house. It is Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
Here we're having same troubles as always. I just want to say first, congratulations to all the inductees this year, and it's a great honor to be speaking on Gordon's behalf, and it's great to see everyone. I know I don't make it here as often as everybody would like, but it's just nice to feel part of the family and see everybody and shake hands and catch up and everything else. So it's been really great. I met Gordon in 1996, like the day after the Cavs drafted me, and I remember standing somewhere in the building. Here was the press conference, and right before I went up to meet him, I didn't speak much English back then. It's a little better now. One of the staff members ran up and just said, "Just heads up, our owner, Mr. Gunn, is blind, so just so you know." And I didn't know anything about that, and I remember going like, wow, really? How a person can be in charge of all this franchise and all these people? And I just like, okay. And then life happened. I got hurt a lot in the beginning throughout all the years, and and me and Gordon got to spend a lot of time together. He would come to practices, to the games, and just watch him interact with all the people, like Larry said before, knowing everybody's family's names, knowing everybody's kid's name, talking to my dad, who didn't speak a word of English for like 30 minutes, you know, all that stuff. So it's, you know, then you kind of understood, like, okay, he leads with his heart, and he cares about people, and really nothing else matters. I remember, I have one story. It was before we got LeBron, and it was right around trading deadline. We were terrible that year. I think we won like 12 games by February. So, and my phone rings, and it's at the time general manager Jim Paxson. And the guys that played, you know, you don't want to hear from your GM around the trading deadline. It's not a good sign. And he says, hey, you know, I'll keep this short. There is a trade on the table that can send you to Detroit, which back then was up and coming team building. He said, we don't want to trade you necessarily, he said, but Mr. Gunn felt like we owed you this opportunity and chance if you wanted to get out and go play for a winning team. He saw how much hard work you put in and everything else, and he just wanted to know that it's up to you to make that decision. You know, you don't have to answer now, think it over, and let us know. And I remember I hung up, talked to her at the time, was my girlfriend, now my wife, and called him back 10 minutes and said, Jim, please tell Mr. Gunn that if it's okay, I would like to stay and see this thing through. And he said, all right. And we never spoke about it again. So, but you don't have those conversations if you don't have those human relationships and friendships. And if we didn't make friends back at the time, who knows, maybe that trade does happen and my jersey's not hanging and I'm not part of this ceremony. So it just comes to show you how on human level Gordon affected everybody, and especially me. Just honored to be here and to speak, and congratulations to you, Gordon, and everybody else here. Thank you.
Now let's please welcome Gordon Gunn back to the podium.
Thank you, Zydrunas. That was wonderful, and I have so many fond memories of times we have had a chance to spend together, and Jennifer, and how great she is, and how much my wife Lily and I really enjoyed those times together, and what you've meant to this franchise. And for a clear reason, you're on this Wall of Honor, and your number's hanging up in the rafters for all you brought to it. You bring an integrity that's so important, and you always did, about who you were and what you were committed to, and how you took a commitment, which was fabulous. So thank you very much for that. And let me say, just to start with, I think it was wonderful of the franchise to do this. I do it. I accept it in large measure because of all the people that were part of our team, the team in a broad sense. Many people like that. Then you go inside to our ownership group, and we talked about my brother George and my wife Lily, who was here all the time, and had so much. She was very interested in the design of whether logos or buildings or whatever, and really helped us keep the quality in place. And then, of course, I mentioned Dick Watson, and I gotta say, he was an amazing attorney, an amazing negotiator, a great partner, and a very good friend, and helped make this, had a huge hand in making this franchise what it is today and what it's been. Same with John Graham, who we heard about earlier, and I didn't mention, but before we bought the franchise, we'd gotten a bit of a taste of what we were going to have to deal with when we acquired the Cleveland Coliseum in 1981 out of foreclosure. And I'd known John, and I asked John if he would become the CEO of it, a great leader, and then was the CEO of both the Cavs and the Coliseum when we acquired the Cavs, and then Nationwide Advertising, which was the parent company of the Cavs. So John, just incredible. And then Another fellow came along in 1990, Warren Thaler, he's here, who also has just made huge contributions, did over the next 15 years during our time with the franchise. So that was the beginning. Those were the ownership group. Then there was a tremendous team of management. Roy Jones, who was and many of you remember him, he was the chief operating officer of the building, always there, did a fabulous job with quality and of all of our entertainment, not just basketball, but everything that we put on, and 200 plus events a year, and sometimes 2 a day, hockey and basketball, and he had the people that were just dedicated to making it work for our patrons and our fans. And then some of our other CEOs, Jim Boland, who's here today, thank you, Jim, and also Mark Storns, who did a great job, and Len Komorowski was with us towards the end of our years and did a terrific job and is doing so as CEO. Ted Carper, we heard about, and we heard from, and so many more. I mean, Tracy Merrick, the group that's here now is doing so well, and such a great job. So then we go to the team, and on the team side, of course, Wayne Embry, our GM for 13 years, who did a superb job, and then Jim Paxson, who succeeded him for 7. Great, we had wonderful leadership there and a terrific impact on this organization. And then our coaching staff, our honoree tonight, Lenny Wilkens, congrats Lenny, and did such a good job, and Mike Fratello as a coach. So we had all these people, beyond just the management and the senior people, it was all about a whole lot of people. I mean, the event staff, 1,000 people at a time, coming in here and making this work. So it's on behalf of all those people that I very gratefully accept this honor and thank you for it. Thank you.
Zydrunas and Gordon will now uncover the Gordon Gund Wall of Honor tile. Welcome to the Wall of Honor, Gordon. Next comes a man with whom I've had the privilege to work, a Cavalier broadcast partner, and a man who has represented this franchise for decades, on the court, on the air, and around the community at an exceptional level. He is a former NBA All-Star, serves as the Cavaliers' Director of Alumni Relations, and is known as one of the best teammates ever. It is Campy Russell.
Michigan was playing, and there was a young player playing for them named Campy Russell. He was the closest thing I'd ever seen to Oscar.
He was one of the first to ever grace the front page of Sports Illustrated. It was just something for the community to see this hometown kid, you know, such as like LeBron. He was the first LeBron for us.
He entered Michigan, became one of their greatest players, and then was drafted, by the Cavaliers.
Well, when Campy first came to the Cavs, it was a breath of fresh air. I mean, Campy's basketball IQ is off the chart, and one of the best players I ever played with.
He got better every year. He took on more responsibility every year. And, his numbers speak for themselves.
I mean, Campy was the type of person that you'd want on your team.
You can't find a nicer person, a better guy who represents the values of what I think you would want in your organization than Campy Russell.
Please welcome another one of my broadcast partners, the man affectionately known as Mr. Cavalier, has his number 34 jersey retired and hanging in the rafters here to speak about Campy. It's Austin Carr.
Thank you, partner. I'm gonna try to make this short and sweet because before I start crying. But Campy, and I've known Campy almost all my adult life. I knew Campy before he became a Cavalier. So it was just natural for us to bond, especially when Campy got here. To me, he was a hybrid. He was 6'8", he could do it all, and he did it way before anybody that size was allowed to do it. And Brad, Mark, Larry, Zadrunas, and Lenny, everybody knows what that means. I mean, at his size, you just weren't allowed to do what he could do. But he could, Campy could flat out get it. And we just had a bond that was great. I mean, he understood, like I said, like you saw, that I could play with or without the ball. And he and I, it really helped me at that time because I was starting to lose a step because of injuries. And it gave me another way to help the team win. And that's what I really enjoyed about Campanella, because I know, I call you Campanellas. We got it like that. But, it was winning was his whole thing. I mean, it was just so nice. But to me, it's more to Campy than just the basketball side of it. I mean, he went back to school, got his degree, and came back to the Cavs and started as alumni relations, and really turned that into an unbelievable situation to where other teams in the league really fashioned themselves after what some of the things that Campy had started with us. And that's right there told me everything about Campy, the fact that he went back to school, because I know it wasn't easy sitting in class with 22-year-olds and doing your thing, but he went back to school and got his degree. And I always use that when I go around and talk to younger kids. I still do a lot of that. I always use Campy as an example, because that to me is what it was all about. I mean, it told me a lot about, and it tells you a lot about the man and what he's about. But to me, what really, I'm getting ready to get started now. But his personality and what he's about as a man, I mean, to me, that's what Campy's all about. As good a basketball player as he is, he's a better person. And that to me, again, is what, man, I hate doing this. But I had 4 brothers, and I consider Campy my fifth brother, and that's how we've done it over the years. And I love you, Campy. And I want to do the honor of welcoming you to the Wall of Honor, Campy Russell.
AC, I said to myself before I came up here as well, is that I wasn't going to cry. And when I was looking at some of the things they had up here on the wall, it really touched me as to how people view you. I come from an interesting family, 7 boys, 3 girls, a dad that was all about hard work, getting it done by any means necessary, not talking about yourself. It was never about yourself. It was never about me. And to me, I think that's the thing that when I was listening to my brothers, all my friends, my teammates, we all think we know each other, but just to hear what they were saying about this person here, it touched me in so many different ways. Because when I think about those kind of things, I always think about my dad. And I'm here to tell you that I had a special relationship with him. And I know this is more about me, but for me, it was more about my dad in terms of what he did for all of us, what he did for me, and what he even did for the community of Pontiac. He was a guy that just worked. Just worked. He was the guy that when he moved us out of the projects into this property that we currently live in now, at least on the property had a small house that had 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a kitchen, and a basement and an attic. And now, remind you, there was 10 children, 7 boys and a girl, and 3 girls. And there was always uncles, cousins, and someone else there at that house as well. But this house had a bunch of fruits, trees. It had everything you naturally would want to feed your family. And here was a man that was born in 1903, who came up harder than anybody who ever wanted to come up. But what he did for all of us was to give us a clear vision of it's not just about us, it's about people. It's about dealing with people. It's about being the whole person. And to go out and lead a life that would allow you to achieve, but at the same time, allow you to be who you are. So I would just like to take this opportunity to thank the Cleveland Cavaliers for drafting me back in 1974. When I was drafted, I thought that was the worst thing in the world, is coming to Cleveland. When it happened, I said, Cleveland, what the? Because, you know, you always hear a lot of different things out there about, you know, I thought I was going to New York, I thought I was going to Chicago. But then when I heard Cleveland, I was like, man, geez. I was telling my roommate, Joe Johnson, I said, man, of all the places in the world, but I tell you, and I'm here to tell you right now, that was the best thing ever happened to me coming here to the city of Cleveland. There's no question in my mind. Because it allowed me to grow. This was the first time I really had been away from home, been away from Michigan or Pontiac. And coming here, this city was the right city for Campy Russell. And then having the opportunity to play with some outstanding guys, teammates that helped me grow as a person. It helped us grow as a team. It helped, just the city in itself. But when I was here, I had some opportunities to, after my 4th year, to go to another team, which was the Detroit Pistons at that particular time. And I turned it down, even though it was paying me more money. It gave me possibly a better opportunity. But the only reason I stayed here was because of my relationship with my teammates. My relationship with my teammates, Jim Jones, Austin, Footsie Walker, Jim Brewer, Dick Snyder, Luke Whitty, and even Bill Fitch, who was, if you played for him, you would understand what I'm talking about. But even Bill and I, over time, we became really close because we finally understood each other. I've always been around a lot of solid people and a solid family, and a lot of people have helped me along my way. And I accept this on behalf of all of those people, my family, and again, the best thing that ever happened to me was coming to Cleveland and being a part of the fabric of this great city. Thank you very much.
AC and Campy will now uncover the Campy Russell Wall of Honor tile. Our 4th and final member of the class of 2022 is a Naismith Basketball Hall of Famer as both a player and a coach. He excelled both as a Cavs player and remains the winningest head coach in Cavalier history. It is the legendary Lenny Wilkens.
He was such a good player. People don't realize how good of a player Lenny was, but he was an incredible point guard in the NBA, and he's in the Hall of Fame because of it.
He had that patented move where he would go from right to left with that little half hook. They knew it was coming, nobody could stop it.
He's a Hall of Famer on the basketball side as well as the coaching side. So you can't have anyone better suited to coach your basketball team, especially if you're a point guard like Mark Price.
Getting a chance to play under a man like Lenny Wilkens was a blessing for me in my career to learn under a great coach and player that he was. I learned so much, and it was an honor and a privilege to play for Lenny.
I mean, he was always just prepared, always calm. That's what I loved about him. He always stayed even keel, just the best coach I've ever been around.
If you listened to Lenny Wilkens and paid attention to what he was teaching, you became a better player. Not only did you become a better player, you became a better person from being around Lenny Wilkens.
Now please welcome to the podium to talk about Lenny, Cavalier legend, and yes, another one of our cherished broadcast partners, Wall of Honor member, Brad Doherty.
Good afternoon. Did you notice the only time you saw Coach Wilkens frown is when he was talking to Larry Nance? And you know why? He was telling Larry, will you please pass the ball to Brad so we can score? I noticed that. Another thing I noticed too is either everybody was busy or I talked too much, because I'm on a lot of those videos doing all the talking to all these people. So maybe it's me, I don't know. But anyway, glad everyone's here. Congratulations to all the inductees. What a wonderful day. I mean, this is outstanding. The over-under, by the way, on Austin crying was about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Crushed that. So, you know, you go back to 1986, and you've heard it chronicled, where the franchise was in 1983, and Gordon and George Gunn purchasing the team and beginning this journey. And then we get to 1986, and we find this franchise is in a really tough situation because we don't have a GM or we don't have a basketball coach. Gordon and his brother George were tasked with the job of going out and finding someone that could lead this basketball franchise, push it forward into the realm of being competitive, as well as embracing all these wonderful fans we have here in Northeastern Ohio. They did an unbelievable job because when they showed back up, they had Lenny Wilkens. And when Lenny Wilkens walked into those doors at the Richfield Coliseum, everything changed for this franchise. This franchise went on to become synonymous with being competitive night in and night out. It became synonymous with class. You hear me say this a lot, but class, dignity, effort, and composure. You heard Larry talking about Coach Wilkens and his demeanor, and I'm telling you, it was the best demeanor for the basketball team we had at the time. We had a lot of really smart basketball players, guys who loved the game, embraced the game, and enjoyed the game. And the wrong type of coach would not have been able to get every ounce of effort out of the players. When you have guys who really think they're smart, pushing them in the wrong direction is the worst thing. Lenny Wilkens was a godsend. He spoke to us, he treated us, and he drove us like professionals. He treated us like men. He demanded respect. He demanded dignity. He demanded you be a high-level professional. And from that, we started. And what started there has continued on to today. I sat back and I was going to write this big, long, eloquent speech because I like to talk, as you can tell. And as I clicked on some numbers, I was blown away, even though I knew a lot of them. I just jotted down a few because we have a game we have to get to tonight, or we would be here a long, long time talking about the accolades of Lenny Wilkens. First and foremost, as a college player, he was inducted into the College Basketball Hall of Fame. But as a professional, I want you to listen to this. Naismith Hall of Fame, in 1989 as a player, 1998 as a coach, 2010 as an assistant coach with the Dream Team, which played in 1992. 1996, he was selected to the 50th anniversary team. 2021, he was selected to the 75th anniversary team. 2022, Coach Wilkens was named one of the 15 greatest coaches in NBA history. 1994, he was NBA Coach of the Year. 13-time NBA All-Star, 9 as a player, 4 as a coach. 1994, 1995, Coach Wilkens set the NBA record for the most wins in NBA history, 1,332, which has since been surpassed by Coach Nelson and most recently, Greg Popovich. I'll say it again, the epitome of dignity, class, respect, honor. In short, when you say Lenny Wilkens, it's synonymous with excellence. Oh yeah, and in 7 years here, he won 316 games. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to induct Mr. Lenny Wilkens into the Wall of Honor.
I don't know how to follow that act, but it's been a long ride, a great ride. And I definitely feel that I've been blessed along the way. You know, we become who we surround ourselves with. Those people have a huge influence on our life. and I've been one of the lucky ones. My dad died when I was 5 years old, and I had a very tough, strong mother. And growing up in Brooklyn, and World can tell you about that because we come from the same area, you know, it wasn't that easy. But my first role model definitely was my mom. You know, she always encouraged us to be as good as we could be and to be proud of who you are and where you come from. I can remember Wayne calling me and talking to me about coming to Cleveland. And as Campy said and other people, you know, it wasn't the place people wanted to go at the time. But I had played here for 2 years under Bill Fitch. And Bill was a tough guy. But you could never question his desire to win. You could never question it. How he went about it, or try to explain it, was a good lesson for me as well, because we didn't always agree. But when I was traded here, I was a player coach, so I had some coaching experience. And when I came here, well, I didn't come right away, because the Cavaliers had a reputation, the Cleveland Cadavers. And you know, and now who was a player coach, who was with a team that had success, I'm going to be traded to Cleveland, and I couldn't imagine it. And so I decided, the writers were all over me, and they were talking about coming, and I said, I'm not coming. And at that time, the ownership was a guy named Nick Maletti, and he and Coach Bill Fitch flew to Seattle and came to talk to me and my wife about coming here as a player. And I couldn't believe it, you know? I mean, it was interesting. And I decided I'm coming because I felt like, you know, I still had some good years I could play. And when I got here, Bill loved the game, but it didn't always come across to his players. And I could see that. And the reason I could see it, because I had been around people like Jackie Robinson. I saw how he related to his teammates, you know. This Father Mannion, how he worked with the young people in our neighborhood. And, you know, if you want people's attention, you know, you got to make sense to them. You got to talk to them as human beings. You got to make it interesting. Years later, Wayne called me to come interview for the job. And I had seen the Cleveland draft. I knew who they were drafting and everything. I knew what the team was going to look like, the players. And so I came in for a meeting. And I don't know if you remember it, Wayne, but we came and we met with Gordon, with Dick Watson, Thaxter Trafton, you know, a few people on Gordon's staff. And so we were talking, and one of the things they said to me, well, Thaxter Trafton said to me, well, we'd like you to take a test. And I said, what? He said, yeah, we'd like you to take a test. I said, no. I said, I'm the one who gives the test. And Gordon broke out laughing and said, I wanted him. But you're very fortunate, this franchise, to have ownership like Gordon and his brother George and Lully. I got to know all of them. And we had the greatest fans. And I tell people wherever I go, the best fans that I ever experienced, and we won a championship in Seattle, and we had great fans there, but was Cleveland. The Richfield Coliseum, the Snow Belt, we had 20,000 fans every night. It was amazing, you know. And this franchise, and I'm so happy the way you're playing now. You know, I still watch the games. You know, it's in the DNA. I can't get rid of it. I watch the games on TV, and of course my wife gets on me sometime because if I see something not right on the court, I express it, and she says, "They can't hear you." So, you know, she said, you know, but I watch the Cavaliers. They got a good young team, and I like the way they play. You know, I think they're doing a good job, and I'm really proud. I'm proud of the time I spent here. To be inducted into this Wall of Fame, I take it with a lot of pride. I really feel real good about this. I'm not like Austin. I'm not going to cry. But I want to tell you that you are lucky. You're blessed. You got a great franchise here. Treasure them. Enjoy them. Support them. You know, and thank you for the tribute to me. Thank you so much.
Brad and Lenny will now uncover the Lenny Wilkens Wall of Honor tile. Welcome to the Wall of Honor, Lenny. I'll tell you what, this has been a very special day. Fantastic ceremony. What a class. We look forward to continuing the celebration as we honor Gordon, World, Lenny, and Campy during halftime of tonight's game. On behalf of the entire Cavs organization, thanks to everybody who was here this afternoon. Family, friends, teammates, and champions. We celebrate the class of 2022 and all of our Wall of Honor members with one final round of applause. Our reception now will begin immediately upstairs at Bridges. Thank you, everyone. Let's get a win tonight and enjoy the rest of the evening.